So if you're starting with a blank slate, the grid panels obviously have no blocks on them, and you're going to load a rifle in the case. First thing I like to do, obviously make sure the rifle is clear and safe. There are different configurations, in some instances based on weight. So this rifle is under 7 pounds, so that gives me initial direction on how I'll be packing this out. So I'll lay the rifle down. When you're positioning it in the case, it's going to take a little time, right? There's going to be certain things that you'll learn as you continue to do this. It's like playing Tetris. It's all about kind of seeing how the rifle lines up with the individual grid panels and grid squares, and then positioning the blocks off of that. So this system will have 8 triple blocks and 8 double blocks. Because it's less than 7 pounds, the first thing that I always like to start with is the butt pad. I'll take these doubles and then place them against the back, against the butt pad. From there, I typically look at the optic, and because this is a red dot, you always want to make sure that the optic is not touching the case walls. It's very important. If this thing were to take a large drop, and I mean large from, let's say, above 36 inches, you definitely do not want this optic to contact the case walls. So what we like to do is kind of cordon this thing off. We also do not want the optic to be resting against the blocks. So I'm just going to take a couple of spaces away from the optic and then set the blocks in place. So basically I have the blocks kind of cordon off and the optic cordon off, and it creates kind of a safe space for the optic. Now I'll start with the barrel. Again, this is kind of user preference, but I'll take these triples, and just because of the way the rifle is laying, I'm going to place 2 triples here and just protect the rifle. You can see we're starting to kind of build this wall, so to speak, around the rifle. It's always important to note too that the blocks must contact the rifle and go all the way to the case wall. Now this can be done with a single block, whether it's a single double or a triple, but then there are obviously times when you're going to need to kind of build it out and take like a triple and then offset a double block. So in this case, right here at the base, I'll take a triple, and then I'll take a vertical or a double block and set it in kind of like an L shape. And I'll probably end up doing the same back here. Again, always taking it from making sure that the blocks are contacting from the rifle to the case wall. It's really the best way to brace the rifle and keep it from contacting the case walls. It's not going to be perfect, right? And what I mean is that the rifle may or may not always be, completely stable where you cannot move it. Once you close the lid foam and the base foam and the panels and the blocks will all compress and keep the rifle stable and keep it from moving. The way I configured this rifle, I still have blocks left over. We definitely like to use every single block if possible. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to kind of pack this rifle out. So there you have it. I used all 8 blocks. I made sure that where the blocks are contacting the rifle or touching the rifle, that I'm carrying that as a continuous kind of line all the way up to the case wall. So in every instance, near the base, near the front of the handguard, it's contacting from the handguard all the way to the case. On the back, near the buttstock, it's the same thing. The rear to the butt pad, barrel, and then towards the top of the rifle, and then kind of cordoning off around the optic. So one of the great things about the grid organizer is that it not only kind of optimizes the inside of your case, you also get kind of these areas that are that you can place other items. Typically, even when we're using just regular base foam, it's very, very typical for you to place your rifle on top of the base foam or on top of the foam and then take items and just kind of line the case just using the space. Well, the blocks just kind of naturally create these little areas, these small cavities that you can either place DAKA pouches, your Ear Pro, Eye Pro, and it will keep these items from basically kind of floating around. I think we've all been there where we've packed the case out, we've traveled somewhere, whether you're flying or you're driving to the range, and then when you open your case, either your Eye Pro or Ear Pro or additional magazines have kind of migrated their way through the case. So it's just another benefit to the grid case organizer. So when you notice when you have your rifle and you have the entire grid panel set up and the grid system set up, if your rifle does shift or move, that's okay. There's certain things that you can do to kind of mitigate that, especially if you have like an extendable buttstock. With this guy, you can kind of create these like micro adjustments where you extend the buttstock and you can get the barrel and the rear or the butt pad to contact the blocks, and that will kind of keep take the slack out of the rifle. But all that being said, it is okay that the rifle has some slight movement. You obviously don't want it to be free floating, but you also don't want to have to cam the block in. This can create kind of premature damage of the blocks. The blocks are made to kind of brace and cordon off these areas. So the rifle should essentially sit comfortably